This is the comprehensive guide to every type of crush you will have in your life, as well as why you're initially drawn to this person, why you're attracted to this person, also the real reason why you like them, because it's never what it seems. According to me, someone with no relevant credentials, I have no psychology degree, I've never read Jung, but I have a YouTube channel, and most importantly, I'm a huge judgmental asshole, and that's all you need to know, okay? Just trust me, I just know everything. So the first type of crush is like a brooding, cool person that you have a crush on. This person probably wears all black, they give don't talk to me vibes, they have an unreadable face, they probably smoke a lot or they brood in doorways, and that's like their job, you know? That's their career. You probably met this person at a dive bar, in a dimly lit art show, or standing mysteriously alone at a party. You're initially drawn to this person because you want to be like the person that cracks the uncrackable, right? It's about proving that you're special enough to break through this person's shell. You think you like them because they're deep, they're magnetic, they're mysterious, and you romanticize the idea that they have uncharted emotional depth, right? And you convince yourself that if you can break through their wall, it proves that you're special, because surely they don't let anyone in. But I'm about to call you the out. It's not because they're uniquely fascinating like you think they are, it's because you're kind of addicted to like the emotional chase. So you want to win the affection of this person, right? Because it's highly coveted, it's like a prize, and you mistake their avoidant tendencies for depth when in reality there is none. In reality, this person is just emotionally constipated, and in reality you're actually just pouring energy into a dynamic where even the smallest crumb of affection feels like a victory. The next type of person that you have a crush on is what I call the disheveled genius. So this is a person, they probably have messy hair, they have half-finished projects, they're always scribbling in a notebook somewhere, they probably own one good shirt but they never wear it. You probably met this person at an independent cafe with really bad chairs and really overpriced espresso, college library at 2 a.m, niche subreddit on philosophy. That one's crazy. You're initially drawn to this person because you want to feel intellectually challenged, right? And secretly indispensable to someone whose life you view as a beautiful mess. You think you like this person because you feel like they get you, right? You feel like they have soul, they have grit to them. You read a lot of romance novels growing up, and you're always complaining about how like no one has any thought anymore, right? And it's impressive that this person has cognitive ability, you know, they have soul, you know, like they knew Camus, they've read Hegel, they've got Henry Miller in their bag. You know, you like the idea that you're with this person because it means I'm intellectually matched, you know, like, oh, like this person also likes niche insufferable novels, like we can get along. But the reality of the situation is it's not because you feel that you're intellectually matched, you feel like this person is your intellectual opposite. It's the fact that you've basically built up a romantasy in your head about what people have said about intellectual people with like messy hair and like huge piles of parchment, you know, they've been romanticized in media, etc. And now I want one, you know, you want one. But in reality, it's nothing like that, because most likely, if you know this type of person, they're probably a PhD student and they don't really do the walking on wet cobblestone thing that you want them to do in the moonlight. Most of the time, they're holed up in their studio apartment, which they can't afford with their part-time job as a Deliveroo driver, and they're also 3 weeks late on like a dissertation chapter, right? And they subsist entirely on instant ramen. And also, I'm not gonna lie, this person, they're probably emotionally unavailable because they're married to their research, okay? You think they have time for you between all of the thesis papers and like I don't know, TAing at a college campus? No, you where would you fit in? The next type of person you have a crush on is the golden retriever. So this person, right? You probably met them in your friend group at the dog park, or like you met them because they helped you lift something heavy when you're struggling. This person has a soft voice, they have a warm smile, they remember your dog's name, they have a dog, they're probably walking their dog, they text you good morning unprompted, they probably have a favorite hoodie. So you're initially drawn to this person and you think you like them because they're gentle, right? And they're kind, they're easy, and they make you feel safe. And you crave that reliability and that safety that this person offers, and they make you feel like you're never too much, right? And you've been burned by too many emotionally unavailable people in your life, and you tell yourself this is what healthy love looks like, right? Because they're warm, they're open, and it feels like a relief to not have to chase something for once, you know? But the truth is also, by disclaimer, this video is a joke. This video is a joke. I'm realizing halfway through delivering this that I might get, people are gonna be mad at me. This is a joke, I'm joking. But the reality of the situation is that it's not just that you crave reliability, it's also that you've spent years living in chaos and now you're kind of trauma bonding to anyone that feels like emotional safety. And let's be For real, half the time you're not here because you like this person, but you're here because it's easy, not because you're wildly passionate about them. And there's always a tiny voice in the back of your head whispering that eventually you're gonna get bored and self-sabotage because you associate stability with stagnation. But that's not a them problem, that's a you problem. The next type of person that you have a crush on is the hyper-ambitious overachiever. So this is the type of person you met at work or like in a competitive program. You met them on LinkedIn where they're somehow already like a top voice on LinkedIn, but they're under 25. This is the type of person, they work late, they answer emails at midnight, they schedule coffee dates 2 weeks out for their schedule. They basically run on caffeine and like thinly veiled self-loathing. You're initially drawn to this person because you think that you admire their drive, right? You like their intensity, you like the ambition, right? You like someone with ambition, you know? They have passion for success. And also, in the back of your head, you're like, oh, this person's gonna make a lot. I'm investing. It feels really thrilling to also be with this person and have this person be attracted to you because they're so picky and they're so, you know, their schedule is so busy. It makes you feel like you're being picked by someone who is seemingly too busy for literally anything else. It makes you feel like the exception to the rule, and it makes you feel really special when you get a little slot in their very busy calendar. But the reality of the situation is, yes, that's true, but you're not attracted to them, you're attracted to scarcity. On an unconscious level, you think that their time is more valuable because they ration it like gold, and therefore being chosen by this person makes it feel like a win. You may think you're in love with this person, but this person is in love with their career and they're married to the grind, and you're sitting here hoping they'll pencil you in before their 10 p.m. Slack messages and their sleep deprived breakdown, but in reality you have nothing in common and you should probably move on. Okay, really quick, let's talk about something that actually won't leave you emotionally confused. Today's sponsor, Opera. Opera is perfect for people whose brains have like 17 tabs open and 4 mental breakdowns pending. And if you watch this channel, let's be honest, that's probably you. Let's start with the player. It sits in your sidebar and it can control your favorite streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube without switching tabs. So you don't need to stop what you're doing to switch songs. It sits right there in reach. You can even detach it and take it outside the browser with no apps or extra windows needed. Split screen is also built right in. So you can have 2 pages open side by side in the same window. Just simply drag one tab downward and your screen will split into 2. Not a new window, just actual functional multitasking. You can study on one side and stream oddly specific videos, mine obviously on the other side, the way it should be, especially when you're telling yourself you're not slacking off. And to match your aesthetic, Opera has a ton of cool themes. One of my favorites is called Aurora because of how soothing the background is, and it actually feels like I'm at the Northern Lights. And then there's Aria, Opera's built-in AI. You can open the super handy command line and type away. Aria answers straight away, no leaving your page. So yeah, if your current browser can't do all of this, give Opera a shot. You can download Opera at the link below. It's free, it's clean, and it won't ghost you after 3 weeks of emotional buildup. Now back to the video. The next person you have a crush on is the stranger. This is that one person that you locked eyes with on the subway or like in a cafe across the room, and immediately you built an entire fake love story in your head about this person. You've never exchanged a single word with this person. You literally made eye contact for like 3 seconds, but in your head you're married now. So you're drawn to this person. It's pretty obvious. You love the mystery, you love the possibility, the sheer what if of everything, right? And you convince yourself that there's something cosmic here, right? You know, it's something driven that's like not algorithmic, you know, it's like really organic. It's something that's meant to be. It's like fate. But the reality is you're not in love with this person. You're in love with the possibility of this person. You basically like that this person offers an escape from your own reality because it lets you spiral into a fantasy where you don't have to deal with messy human details like actual conversations or emotional work. I think this type of crush is harmless. We all have them, but let's be honest, you would not talk to this person, right? You projected an entire personality onto a stranger who just happens to have nice hands and a book that you vaguely respect. The next type of crush is the celebrity crush. Everyone's got one of these. Actor, musician, influencer. You will almost certainly never meet this person, but you know everything about this person, okay? Star sign, coffee order, emotional backstory, childhood trauma. You know this person like the back of your hand, right? You've spoken to them. You've not spoken to them. You've listened to this person, okay? You've seen all of the interviews. You've seen them on your fucking Instagram reels, on your timeline, but only through the parasocial haze of perfectly curated content. You're initially drawn to this person probably because you admire their art. You probably tell yourself you think they're genuinely talented, you think they're magnetic, they're special. They probably are these things, but you also have the parasocial delusion that you think that you're someone that understands this person on a deeper level, even though millions of other people also think that they also individually understand this person on a deeper level than everyone else. You feel a little superior for liking them before they blew up, or like you feel superior for knowing their earlier work, or like you think that because you watched the same interview that like a million other people have seen, but like you know their real personality, you know, like you can see beyond their facade, not just the mainstream image. The truth is, you're not in love with this person, you're in love with the safe fantasy of having a crush on a celebrity or someone unattainable. This person can never reject you, they can never disappoint you or demand anything real from you because they exist entirely in your own mind. You basically get all of the thrill of a real crush and all of the thrill of an obsession without any of the real vulnerability. And if you're being honest with yourself, half the time you're more invested and you're more interested in the drama of fandom around a person rather than this actual person. The next type of crush you have is a platonic friend crush. So I need to preface this, right? This is like a friend that you think you view platonically, so like you admire this person, you adore this person, maybe you think you're like soul bonded with this person, right? You secretly wish you could just clone them or like hold hands platonically, you know, they're my friend, you know, like I don't like them romantically, platonically I like them, you know, like we're friends, like we get along. They're the type of friend like you can easily click with them, you can talk about anything, you feel like every stupid thought in your head, you immediately want to text this person. You tell yourself this isn't romantic, it's just someone that you connect with deeply on a platonic level. Obviously, you value their presence and they get you in a way that no one else does. You really like the comfort and the ease of this person and the way the two of you just fit together in conversation so naturally. But the reality is, you're emotionally tangled in a way that's very tricky. You probably crave deep connection really badly and you blur the line between platonic and romantic without realizing it. You want to be this person's favorite person. You want to be their main character, but also you're kind of terrified of rocking the boat. So you stay in like this weird limbo in your head where you're half flirting with them, but also they're your friend. I'm not interested in them. We're platonic friends, you know, like half flirting, half friendship. And basically at night, you quietly overthink every hug or late night text that this person gives you. The next type of crush you have is the chaotic, flirty wildcard. You probably met this person at a rooftop party. You met them through mutual friends on a chaotic Tinder date, unplanned night out, something actually spontaneous, you know, like not just like lying in your bed watching YouTube videos. You're initially drawn to this person because they're a way out of your routine, right? They're not usual. They make your life feel electric and unpredictable. They make you feel alive, spontaneous, and honestly, they kind of just make you feel like you're living in your own little rom-com montage in your brain. You tell yourself that they're good for you, right? Because they're unpredictable and they pull you out of your own monotony, you know, they pull you out of your own overthinking. But the truth of the matter is that it's very likely you probably aren't interested in this person themselves. You're interested in the emotional adrenaline that they offer you. You mistake chaos for chemistry, and most likely you've been at school or like at a boring office job for too long, and therefore you're drawn to people who like yank you into their tornado of last minute plans, intense flirting, and general disastrous aura. And if you're being honest with yourself, if you weren't so disinterested with your general life circumstances, you would not be interested in this person. And you know that this is not the type of person you want to be with long term, because in reality, you know that they're the type of person that will just ghost you mid-conversation just to see if you chase them. The next type of person you have a crush on is the nerdy hyperfixation one. This is the type of person you meet at a college class, at a convention, an online community space. They're the type of person that rants passionately about niche topics that they know weirdly a lot of stuff about. They get visibly excited over tiny details about this niche interest that they have. They probably have a merch collection and Funko Pops. You're initially drawn into this person because you like their enthusiasm and their curiosity. You think it's cute that they're so passionate and they're enthusiastic and they're authentic, and you love when someone unapologetically is like really excited about this weirdly niche geeky thing, and you think it's really cute. And you also think that you're the only person that thinks this is cute about them, but you're wrong, because nerds are like in style now, okay? You're not special, I'm sorry. But basically you like that this person can dive headfirst into this thing and that they have like such a strong interest in something without worrying about it being cool, and that is very admirable. It's really refreshing, it's really earnest, and you feel like you finally found someone that cares. Oh my god, I finally found someone that was like passionate about something. But the reality is, it's not just the passion you're drawn to, it's most likely also the fantasy of like being this person's new hyperfixation. You know that this person has an intense obsessive energy, and you like the idea of this potentially being pointed at you. And that makes sense, right? Because that's like really validating. But realistically speaking, you're always gonna come second to this person's niche obsession. Whether that's cataloging obscure moth species, or like speed running Nintendo DS games, or like moderating a Discord web server analyzing the inconsistencies of a 2006 webcomic, okay? Like, you're always gonna have second place in their heart. The next type of crush you have is the one on the calm, responsible, older person. This is probably someone that you met through work or like at a community event or even introduced by someone who says that they're mature. You'll like them. They probably drive a well-maintained car, they make detailed weekend plans, they fold their laundry right away, and they have like a solid LinkedIn profile. You're initially drawn into this person because you feel like they're mature, they're stable, they're grounded, they give off an air of competence that makes you feel like you can finally relax. You feel like you want stability, there's someone that can anchor you when you feel like you're spinning, and they make your life feel less messy, and you fantasize about being the one that's actually being taken care of for once in your life. But the reality of the matter is, you're not just attracted to this person because they're reliable, it's that you're also craving someone to like play emotional parent and like clean up the mess that you're too burnt out to face yourself. But if you're being honest with yourself, once this person puts down roots and they expect you to settle into their structured life, you'll panic and you realize that you don't really like this person, you don't really have anything in common with them, and you've actually just been romanticizing stability while secretly feeding on the chaos of your own mind and your own delusions this entire time. Quick segue, I'm just reminding you that I have a second channel. It's here. You can subscribe here. I also have a coffee shop because if you know this channel, I do a lot of these flowchart videos. If you're interested in getting a hard copy of any of those flowcharts, then you can check that out. I'm also on Instagram, by the way. Did you know I have an Instagram? Anyway, just click everything. Just click everything. Thank you. The next type of crush you have is on the sad, soft-spoken musician. This is the type of person you meet at like a tiny local show or like at an open mic night, or they're that shy person that's like always plucking away at their guitar like a house party. They probably have messy hair, they have soft eyes, the guitar's always within reach, you know. They write sad songs at 2 a.m. You're initially drawn to this person because you like their melancholy, right? You like their depth, you like their tortured soul. You tell yourself you admire this person because they feel more deeply than other people and they have that artistic aspect to them. You're also doing that annoying thing that you know is wrong, but like in your head, you think you can save this person, don't you? Or even better yet, you think that you can inspire this person. You want to be this person's muse. You want to be the person that this person writes their sad love ballads about. But the truth is that you're not really chasing love here. You're chasing the fantasy of being a savior. You've been sold too many sad indie love tropes, and now you think that dating someone who's emotionally crumbling will make you feel important. But the reality of the matter is that this person is probably too busy battling their own internal spiral to really show up for you. Their idea of a romance, while it might seem really beautiful right now, is not going to seem beautiful, and it's probably like half a love song and a whole lot of just flaking out on things. The next type of crush you have is the work crush. This is the person you meet at your office, you know, over Zoom, bonding over the coffee machine about how you both hate the latest company meeting. This is the coworker that makes you laugh a little bit too hard at these stupid meetings, and the person that makes you want to like dress up while you go to work, even though you swear it's just for you, you know, like I'm dressing for me, I'm dressing for me. So you're crush on this person, right? You like to tell yourself that it's harmless, you know, it's just like a little bit of like eye candy that makes the workday less soul crushing. It's just a little bit of fun, you know. You're not really trying to do anything about it. It's just nice to have like a low stakes spark in the middle of your really boring workday and all the Slack notifications. But the truth of the matter is that you're basically using this person as like an emotional crush and like a distraction from the existential dread of corporate life. They're not your soulmate. If you didn't work together or if you didn't share an office space, you probably wouldn't be attracted to this person. And some part of you already knows that half of their appeal is the fact that they're unavailable. And you'll never really act on this little like what if tension that the two of you have because HR would skin you alive. The next type of crush you have, I like to call the mirror. You probably met this person at like a quiet friend group, an online space, or a shared emotional support circle where you bond over your mutual struggles. You're probably initially drawn to this person because you feel deeply understood by them. They reflect your own wounds back to you in a way that feels intimate or healing. This person probably resonates with a lot of the internal struggles that you have, for example, loneliness, insecurity, and you feel this instant, intense connection, and it feels like you've known each other forever because you have such deep conversations. You might sit together in like a coffee shop trading heartbreak stories like emotional war medallions. But the truth is that you're probably not falling for this person. You're falling for the idea of healing yourself through them. You want to believe that if you can love each other, then through your shared pain, it'll fix something deep inside you. And I don't want to minimize any connection that you truly feel. And obviously this is the case for all of anything I say in this video, but you probably need to do that internal healing yourself, and two broken people together doesn't make a whole. It probably just makes two broken people that are like stuck together. It's just a bigger mess. The next type of crush you have is the forbidden world temptation. You probably met this person at a niche event, they're in a different social scene from you, or through a chance encounter that just makes them seem otherworldly to you, they're just like out of your regular scheduled events. You like this person because they offer like an escape route, right? Because they feel like the key to unlocking a different, more exciting version of yourself. They're wildly different from you. Maybe they're from a different culture, social scene, life path, life experiences, or there's someone that you shouldn't want, like the classic bad idea hookup. Just think of like the trope of like a walking invitation of like leaving your old life behind. They're basically that. But the reality is that you probably don't really like this person, or you're not in love with this person. You love the fantasy that they'll let you slip out of your own life like a back door. Like it's just that easy. You want to feel new, you want to feel different, you want to feel reborn, but no one is really going to save you from the identity crisis that is in your own mind except for you. The next type of crush you have is the sparring partner. You probably met this person at your college class, competitive workspace, or like anywhere where people banter or debate each other and like one-up each other for sport. You like this person because they're snarky, like they're sarcastic. They you throw it back and forth, like you kind of like playfully insult each other, you playfully debate each other. In conversation, this person pushes back, they make you work for the conversation. And you like the challenge because it feels like their approval is earned, not given. They never let you win a conversation too easily, and you leave every conversation feeling slightly flustered and secretly thrilled that you had that conversation. But the truth here is that you probably don't like this person, you're probably addicted to the chase. You're not drawn to connection, you're drawn to conquest. And you like their approval again because it's earned, and you think that like winning their affection will validate you, and it does validate you in like the short term, but a real connection requires more than just this like back and forth tension, and you know that if you win, you'll probably get bored because it's never really about them, it's about the competition. The next type of crush is the parental echo. Okay, this one's gonna get real Freudian, okay? Just bear with me. You probably met this person at work or like in a mentor type dynamic, like maybe they were like a TA or something. Anything where there's like a natural senior or like caretaker role around you. You probably like this person, or you have a crush on this person because they feel familiar, they feel safe. It's like coming home to a pattern that you know. This person probably reminds you either subtly or obviously about a caregiver dynamic that you probably grew up with, if you catch my drift. Maybe it's their mannerisms, maybe it's the emotional distance, or how they offer advice to you with just a slight condescension to their tone. If you have a crush on this type of person, you're probably not falling for them, you're probably just falling into like a rerun of old attachment patterns. And again, I haven't read Freud, this video is just for fun, but you're probably trying to recreate or resolve something that never really fully resolved itself in your childhood. The next type of crush you have is the blank slate enigma. You can meet this person anywhere. You probably met them in like a casual friend group or at a party, even online. Any space which is like vague enough for your imagination to fill the gap of this person is somewhere that you can meet this person. Basically, this person is like a fantasy canvas, right? They're like a blank slate, and the mystery of like this person and how you know nothing about them lets you script the actual relationship you want in your head without any real risk. They're probably vague, they're probably hard to read, emotionally unavailable, and that's exactly why you have a huge crush on this person. Their silence lets you fill in the blanks with whatever fantasy you want. And the truth is that you're not in love with this person, you don't have a crush on this person, you're in love with a version of them that you invented in your head. You might actually prefer someone that you can project onto, because real people come with real complex emotions and real complex problems and needs, and they're probably going to disappoint you. Whereas with this person, because they're so enigmatic, because you know nothing about them, it's like a one-person fanfiction that you're writing in your head and that you can indulge in with every guilty pleasure, and you basically know it. The next type of person you have a crush on is the cold, high-value heartbreaker. You probably met this person in a high-status environment, at a competitive job, an exclusive social circle, or like anywhere where there's an obvious power dynamic. You're initially drawn to this person because winning the affection of this person, which is like at a higher power level than you, feels like a prize. It makes you feel like you're earning their affection, and that in turn validates your own worth. They're probably really picky, they're probably hard to impress, they're probably a little bit rude, and yet you're clinging to like every teeny tiny morsel ounce of validation that they toss your way. The truth of the matter here is that you're probably not chasing love, you're chasing a trophy. In some unconscious way, you probably believe that their affection is going to elevate you and it's going to prove you're special, it's going to upgrade your worth. But you know that if they picked you, your brain is probably immediately going to start looking for the next person whose approval feels just out of reach, because it's not about them, it's about your endless validation spiral, which you can only fix yourself, you can't reach for another person to do it for you. The next type of crush you have is what I call the sweet, slightly awkward admirer. You probably met this person through like a hobby group, maybe like a wider friend circle, workplace. At a workplace, maybe they're your junior, or like they're a shy mutual friend that clearly looks up to you a lot. They probably have less life experience than you, they're maybe a little bit shy, and you know that they look up to you in some aspect. Basically, you're drawn to this person because you like the flip dynamic, okay? Because they actually make you feel admired, and they make you feel powerful and respected in a world where you usually feel powerless, spit on, denigrated. But the reality is, you know that you have a crush on this person, not because of them, and you're not really looking for partnership. You basically like them because they flip the script in your head of your own life. You're used to feeling powerless, and now you're clinging to someone who clearly you can steer, you can guide, maybe even mentor. But again, this isn't really romantic interest, it's more emotional compensation. The next type of crush you have is the wide-eyed optimist. You might have met this person through volunteer work, through a campus group, or friend circles where they stand out as like a bushy-tailed, wide-eyed optimist, soft-spoken type of person. So you're initially drawn to the softness of this person. They make you feel like maybe you think they're a little innocent, maybe even a little bit naive, and they basically recapture a piece of innocence that you feel like you lost in this dark and twisted world. They're probably really sweet, they're probably really hopeful and kind, and they're the type of person that, at least in your head, you think they still believe in happy endings and good people, but not me, because I'm all jaded and mean now. But the reality is that you're probably not really attracted to this person, you're just attracted to the version of yourself that you wish you could get back, or that you see in this person. You're chasing the fantasy that the lightness of this person will scrub away the cynicism of your own life, but in reality, you know that this person is just a mirror to your own problems, and they're not a time machine, and they can't be a time machine. Now, the companion type of crush to this one is the cynical, jaded, co-brooder type of crush. You might have met this person at like a late night friend hangout at a dive bar, or like an online space where people bond over dark humor and existential dread. So for the opposite reason why you like the optimist, you like this person because you feel seen in that they're also someone that is equally as cynical and jaded as you in your own motherfucking life. They're probably a little bit nihilistic, they don't flinch at your edgy, dark jokes or your ugly, truthful thoughts. And you're attracted to them because they make you feel seen without forcing you to change, and the reality is you crave their acceptance because it lets you avoid growth in some way. This person makes you feel seen in the ugliest, dirtiest parts of yourself, and if you're with someone that accepts your dirtiest parts, then why even bother working on them? The next type of person you have a crush on is the reckless, morally dubious hot mess. You might have met this person through mutual friends, you probably met this person at a third space that you probably shouldn't be at. This is someone that's obviously bad for you, maybe they're even a little dangerous. You're drawn to them like a moth to a bonfire, like a idiot in a romantic movie. They're like a match to your gasoline, right? Like, you crave the chaos, you crave the destruction, you crave the thrill of risking it all. I want to burn everything in my life. You kind of already know everything I'm gonna say to you in this video anyway. You don't really like this person. You're not really looking for love. You're kind of just looking for demolition. You want to watch your own life catch on fire just to feel something because you just been doing the same thing for so long that you want something that'll like light the spark in you. But the reality is this isn't a romance arc, it's an emotional car crash. And you already know all this shit, but you want to do it anyway. And honestly, in my opinion, that's your prerogative, it's your free will, just don't lie to yourself about it. The next type of crush is the crush that's purely physical. You can meet this person basically anywhere, like anywhere, any republic, gym, party, walking past you on a street. They're basically just someone you're like, you see them and you're like, this person is really hot. Literally, it's like the pure, raw, visual, physical attraction, right? They're just someone that you cannot stop staring at. So this person, obvious, you know, like you're chasing raw attraction. There's no emotional baggage, you don't know this person, they're a stranger, there's no shared story, pure physical, intense, you know, immediate spark. Obviously, this type of crush, it's not about connection. It's probably not even about curiosity. You're basically purely trying to escape into pure sensation, you know? And honestly, good for you. In small doses, right? This is okay. You know, like sometimes you just need escapism. You just want to turn your brain off. You want to dodge emotional entanglement. And honestly, that's fine because sometimes a hot person is just a hot person, you know? Just call it what is. You don't need to invite a deeper reason as to why you're physically attracted to someone. That's fine. But don't lie to yourself and say, oh, it's because I can see like the soul in their eyes, right? No. You like them because they're hot, and that's fine. That's fine. The next type of crush you have is on the world expanding guide. This is probably someone that you met in a class, a workshop, even in the niche cultural space if you're in those. You like this person because basically they light you up. They make you feel like you're growing, you're expanding, and they teach you something, or like they make you feel like you're becoming a more interesting version of yourself. They might be from a culture or like a field or basically a world that you've never touched before. Maybe they're a chef or a musician from a niche scene. They might even be an academic in a field that you barely understand. It doesn't necessarily need to be something traditionally romantic in that sense. But basically, they make you feel like you're tasting flavors that you've never seen before. Tasting flavors that you've never seen before. Whatever, you know what I mean. You know, like they expand your worldview. You're like, oh, I've never experienced these things before. But if you're honest with your person, you're probably not attracted to this person for them. You're probably high on like the personal expansion that they represent. You want to feel smarter, you want to feel cooler, and therefore deeper by association if you hang out with this person. And if you're honest with yourself, you're more in love with the version of yourself that this person unlocks rather than this actual person themselves. The next type of crush you have is the type of crush that lets you be small. This is probably someone you met at a workspace, a structured group, or like, again, any mentor dynamic where naturally they take charge. You think you like this person because they make you feel safe, right? Because you can finally stop carrying the weight and let someone else take the lead. They're probably older than you, they're more competent than you, or maybe they're just calmer, you know? Maybe they just crash out less publicly than you. And in a paradoxical sense, you feel so safe around them, it's like weirdly thrilling again. Does that make sense? You feel like you can let go, you can lean back, and you can let them just handle things. But the reality is that you're not really falling for this person for what matters, their personality. You fall for the fantasy of relief. You're so tired of carrying the emotional weight of yourself that you basically latched onto this person who gives you the feeling of being taken care of. You don't want a romance here, you want to emotionally clock out in this relationship. The next type of crush is basically the opposite of this person, and it's the crush that lets you be big. Again, you probably met this person in a friend group, casual work setting, hobby space, but this is basically someone that like naturally defers to you, and it lets your maybe stronger personality steer. They let you take the lead, they make you feel confident, they make you feel important, and finally, they let you feel in control. Again, like I said for the last one, but like in the reverse, you probably don't like this person, you're probably not looking for love, you're looking for a stage. You want to shine, you want to steer, you want to feel competent and needed in this person's life, and you're chasing the high of like finally being big, you know, like I'm the big fish in this pond. And it also lets you momentarily silence the part of you that feels powerless, literally anywhere else. The next type of crush you have is on the fantasy co-star. You can meet this person basically anywhere. It's less about where you meet this person and more about how they like perfectly slot into the little cinematic scenario that you've built in your own head, right? Because you're crazy. You like this person because they fit like the fantasy script in your mind, right? And you're drawn not to them, but also of the entire romantic arc that you're kind of imagining them inside. This can be a wide variety of different romantic scenarios, okay? Depending on like the type of person you are, depending on the type of thing you want, okay? It could be like a power couple, rebellious duo. You could be star-crossed lovers in a cabin in the woods together, you know? They fit neatly in like the movie reel of your own mind, or like the narrative that you want of your own life, and it makes it feel like fate. But again, you're not in love with this person, you're in love with the aesthetic of this person, you're in love with the aesthetic of the movie scene that they give and offer to your own life. You've basically cast them in like a fantasy role, and you're writing a script of like the narrative of your own life, and it has nothing to do with reality. They're less of a person and more like a prop in your own little cinematic universe, and a part of you knows it, but a part of you also just likes to indulge in this one-person fanfiction. The next type of crush you have is the one on the mysterious artist. This person probably wears thrifted scarves, they drink obscure tea brands, they post obscure cryptic Instagram captions, maybe they journal under the moonlight, you know, commonplace journal. Watch my videos. I'm just kidding. This person would never admit to watching YouTube videos. They only watch A24 films. You might have met this person like an open mic poetry reading at like a independent theme fair, or maybe you just met them through mutual friends. Most likely scenario. You're drawn to this person because, again, you want to feel like you're in a movie, but not any movie. You want to feel like you're in an indie movie. You want to feel like you're in a layered, soulful art house, truly like, you know, like a critiques choice indie movie, you know? You think you like them because this person is like deep, you know, they're layered, they have soul, and you tell them that they experience life in a way that other people don't. They're basically like your manic pixie dream girl, you know, you want to feel cinematic, poetic, and you feel like the two of you exist outside of boring, materialistic, mainstream choices and tastes. You tell yourself it's like a once in a lifetime artistic soul connection, but the reality is you're probably watching too many indie romance movies, motherfucker. And now you're basically projecting onto any other motherfucker who wears a tote bag and has a letterbox account, but basically that's like every other person in London. In reality, this person is probably not the deep soul that you think they are. They're probably just vaguely pretentious, they're probably extremely flaky and emotionally inconsistent because they're also just figuring out who they are. The next type of person you have a crush on is on the charismatic star friend. This is the type of person where like they walk into the room and somehow everyone just kind of gravitates towards them, you know? They're talented, they're magnetic, they're stylish, and you're not really sure if you want to date them or like you want to be them, you know? And you, like everyone else, is attracted to them, you're magnetized to them, you're pulled into like their glow. You feel like being near them kind of feels like you're like stepping into the center of their social universe, and you really like basking in that. But the reality is that you're probably not romantically interested in this person. You kind of just are romantically interested in the vibe and the aura that they emanate. In some way, you're probably like a little bit of like a social vampire, and a part of you doesn't know if you like them or you want to be them, you know? Like, you want their social power, you like their aesthetic, you like the fact that they have like an it factor. But if you're honest with yourself, if you could like copy and paste this person's life onto yours, you'd probably lose interest in this person instantly because you were only ever attracted to the glow of this person, not themselves in actuality. The next type of crush you have is the crush on someone who's taken. So this one's kind of obvious. It's like a crush on someone who has their own relationship, so like they're emotionally like out of bounds from you, you know? But they probably also flirt with you just enough to make you feel like you're questioning everything, but you know that they're off limits. But basically, you know that this person is off limits in some way. It might be that they're dating someone, it might be they're emotionally unavailable, or like maybe they just live far away, you know? Basically, this person is off limits, but you're hooked on the fact that this is like safe but forbidden tension. Does that make sense? So like they flirt with you just enough to make you feel special, even though it's like at the edge of what you know is allowed. And again, you have a crush on this person, but the reality is you just like it because it's safe, but it's like there's tension there, you know? It's like it flirts with the line of like what's allowed, and it lets you script the romantic fantasy in your head without ever risking rejection because you know that this person wouldn't ever actually ask you out. It's not really about intimacy, it's about having like a controlled longing for this person. And you get all of the intensity of having a crush without any of the vulnerability because you know nothing will transpire from this. The next type of crush you have is on the overthinker. So this is the type of person where they're even more of a hot mess than you are. That's rare. They're spiraling over their self-worth. They're even more of a disaster than you are. They're convinced they're unlovable, and you like it because you think you see their potential. You're enchanted by the vulnerability of this person, right? You want to be the person that like pulls them out of this chaos, and you want to be their savior, you know? You want to prove to them that they're lovable. But the truth is, you don't like this person. You like the fact that you can play savior fantasy in your head. You want to feel irreplaceable. You want to feel like their entire emotional, physical transformation hinges on you. But deep down, you know that even if you really save this person, you're gonna get reckless the second they stop needing you. The next type of crush you have is on the Zen barista type. This is the type of person, maybe they're a barista at your local cafe, maybe they're your yoga instructor, they work at the local bookstore, anywhere vaguely peaceful where they just radiate calm while you internally, maybe externally, are screaming, crashing out, crying, spitting, etc., etc. They probably own a lot of plants, they probably water their plants, they take deep breaths, they meditate, they answer texts calmly, and somehow they're just unbothered by everything, you know? They're unbothered by absolutely everything, nothing phases them, and that is what makes you go crazy, spiral over them at 3 a.m. in the morning. This person is like the human embodiment of peace, you know? They just make you calm. You're like a moth to this person's lantern, and you just crave that grounding that this person gives you. But the reality is, you're probably not attracted to them. You're attracted to the idea that if you sit close enough, maybe you'll absorb some of that peace that they emanate. But you and I both know that no matter how calmly I try and deliver this line, no amount of dating someone who's zen and calm is going to fix the blaring car alarm that is blaring in the back of your own head at every given time. Have you tried meditating? Have you tried, have you tried internally fixing this? You can't project that onto another person. It's not gonna work. And finally, thank the last type of crush you have is the old flame. This is the ex that you start thinking about again, the old classmate that you had a crush on like 10 years ago that you suddenly stumble across on social media, and you romanticize about this person like they're your lost lover. Maybe you bumped into them at like a school reunion, maybe you found them late night on social media, or just by sheer accident, and you're just suddenly flooded with nostalgia. You tell yourself that you're craving closure with this person, you're drawn to them, and maybe you're saying, oh, you didn't realize you didn't appreciate them enough, back then, and it feels like they're the one that got away, And now you're telling yourself, I'm wiser, I'm older, I'm seeing this person through new eyes, and I'm appreciating them for what they are, and that's why I'm drawn to this person. But the reality is, you're probably not longing for this person, you're longing for a version of yourself, or you're nostalgic for a version of yourself that you were when you knew this person. You're longing for a time in your life that felt simpler, or more exciting, or more full of potential, or just less full of corporate existential dread. This person isn't your great lost love, they're just a shortcut for revisiting the past because you're restless in the present, and being with this person is really not going to solve any problems. If anything, it's probably going to just dig up all of the old in your life, as well as the new in your life, the present in your life.